Guess what? We have another call. Welcome to the wonderful world of CSI. I'm still helping Grissom with the caseloads, and I need you to head out to the computer game trade show at the Spheres Convention Center. We have another possible homicide. Nick Stokes will be your partner. You like Nick, everybody does. But behind that easygoing, low-key charm of his, you'll find one of the best crime scene investigators anywhere.
Hey, I'm Nick. You into video games? Hope you like the shooting ones, because that's what we've got here. Vic took 3 hits, 2 in the torso, 1 between the eyes. Also, it's uncommonly warm in here. Feels like around 90 degrees. Not normal for a showroom floor with electronics. So, let's see what we can learn. I've heard of life imitating art, but this is taking it a little too far. Can't be a coincidence that our Vic's body was found in the same posture as the guy on the poster. You know, I'll play just about any kind of video game, but I think I'll pass on this sucker. I see enough carnage on the job. Hey, you got gamer's eyes yourself. A stray bullet could have a lot to say to us about exactly what went down here. Not the right tool for this. I'm not a medical examiner, but this looks like a handgun shot at close range. You should check for gunshot residue to be sure, but I'll bet you already knew that. From now on, I'll put any GSR samples we recover in a place where we can both access it. The blood pool under the victim is smudged, indicating the body was dragged to this spot, probably posed. This needs attention ASAP. Let's use the mobile analysis unit. M4 assault rifle. You can do a lot of killing with this baby, but unless you're well trained with it, it's not exactly a good close-range defensive weapon. Here we have an empty mag and chamber, and no GSR, so this puppy hasn't barked in a while. Also, its barrel has been modified. It couldn't fire real bullets if it wanted to. Sweet. Yep, the ID confirms this is Stan Everston. Funky characters. Kinda doubt you'd find these two walking around inside some ultraviolet game. Wonder how this t-shirt was ripped. Looks like a display case for weapons. Heavy-duty weapons. I bet these are all used in the game somehow. .45 automatic. This could be our murder weapon. Someone could have shot our Vic that placed the gun back in the display.
I have no idea. All I can say is Stan was like this when I found him. All shot up, bloody, horrible. Know him? Yeah, he's my boss. Was my boss. That's Stan Everston, the executive producer of our company, LZP. We're a gaming company, as you probably figured out. This is a demo room for the trade show attendees. We're showing our new game, Gut Wrench 3. Marketing director is the title. But the truth is, I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I put it all together, from packaging input to rolling this out to retailers and the public. You wear a lot of hats in the gaming industry. Well, last night, we set the booth up together. Or anyway, until I got burned out and was past the point of productivity. I bailed around 10:30. I should have gone back to my hotel and into the jacuzzi and then bed. But hey, one of the perks of doing a trade show in Vegas is Vegas, right? Lots of big parties hosted by the game companies. By the time I got back to the hotel, oh God, it must have been way after midnight. Maybe, let me think, 2:15? Sure, Andy Penmore, the lead programmer. Well, the video game industry is inherently unusual, so that's a tougher one than it sounds. The ego, the testosterone in this little demo chamber. Could have sliced it and sold it for bacon. Stan didn't like to argue with Andy. Andy's too smart, got a wit and edge that'll cut you. Which is why Stan takes it out on me, usually. I mean, took it out on me. Maybe in the room he and Stan are sharing? They were sharing. Damn, this is gonna be hard to get used to. Stan is, like, really gone, isn't he? Gonna take some time to process that. But yeah, you should try his hotel room. We're here to showcase Gut Wrench 3. You come to these trade shows hoping to generate some major buzz in the gaming press. A game is a product. Like a candy bar you want to convince customers to take a bite out of. Actually, it's more than that. You want them to crave that candy, right? So we're showing retailers what we've come up with in a setting where they can get lost in the game. I spent 6 months on the pre-hype, and with a top-selling, established game franchise, hey, the next Gut Wrench is the most anticipated title in years. Gut Wrench 3 is going to change the face of first-person shooters forever. The new dynamic incapacitation system and improved spatter physics has taken this franchise to a level of realism that was impossible when Gut Wrench 1 launched. We're the best first-person shooter on the market. No, we're a few weeks away. Truth is, we already have commitments from most of the retailers here. Our primary goal now is to generate buzz, to encourage buyers to up their orders. Trouble is, we still have critical bugs to fix. And with Stan gone, who knows if we'll make the launch date. I have no idea. It's not supposed to be this hot. Maybe somebody played with our AC setting. It's not one of ours. Our ex-designer was wearing a shirt like that yesterday. Hey, I don't do wardrobe. I'm marketing. No idea. Craig Landers. Used to work with us. Brilliant guy. He created the Fuzzy and Bill franchise for LZP. He's a little odd, but it's not really unusual for those creative types. You don't get into this business because you're normal. Honestly, I have no idea. He left before I was hired. No clue. If I had to guess, I'd say he's probably down on the show floor, trying to score free t-shirts or pictures with... Sure. I know that'll help rule me out as a suspect.
We'd like to do a gunshot residue test as well. It's standard in all gun-related investigations.
Sure.
We've done all we can do with that item. We've done all we can do with that item. Let's run this evidence by Brass. Hello. Maya Wynn had her hands on the M4 assault rifle. GSR from the Vic matches the residue on Maya's hands. For Stan being a hands-on boss, our marketing gal got around too. Blood on the floor is Everston's, suggesting he was shot inside that demo room. We've done all we can do with that item.
I've been pulling double shifts due to the workload, but I was able to get this for you. Stan Everston. No priors, much less convictions. Pretty well off. At least enough so to live in Beverly Hills, CA. Wife's been at home all week with their newborn son. The late Mr. Everston was executive producer at LZP Entertainment. He's worked for several big companies in the game biz, worked on several high-profile titles. But he has a rep for pushing people to new heights, and sometimes pushing them too far. Finding enemies won't be a taxing task. Let me just check the computer. Okay, Mr. Everston was sharing a room with Andy Penmore. Next door is the gunslinging Ms. Maya Wynn. All checked in yesterday afternoon, Sphere Hotel. We have a very angry lady who likes to hold guns. And she also has GSR in her hands that matches the GSR on the Vic? Yeah, let's bring her in for questioning.
No! I'm the one who rented the thing. Why wouldn't my prints be on them? We were at a firing range and, keep this to yourself, but I overslept after partying last night and skipped my shower. I created a team-building exercise to boost morale to blow off steam. It was also part of our marketing position, how we put realism into the game. It was a photo op. We had our pictures taken while firing guns for sending out to the media. It was our core team, me, Stan, and Andy, plus Craig. Stan invited him too, at Andy's insistence. I guess it was old loyalty to a founding member. Couple of them. I kind of dig handguns, and they look good on me. Ever seen those Hong Kong action movies? Chicks with guns? I started with a 22, but it just didn't do it for me. So I switched to a 45. That one kicked ass. Oh, sorry. That must really sound in bad taste. The rest of the weapons are still waiting to be picked up at the gun club. I brought the M4 assault rifle over early to ensure it would fit in the display. The realism of our game stems from the fact that every in-game gun is modeled after the real deal. And we had them here at the booth to make that point. This industry is heavily male-oriented, including the retailers, and everybody knows boys like toys. So I brought the toys for the boys to look at. No, we originally arranged to rent replica guns for the show, but when we picked them up, they all had a red cap on the muzzle. Gut Wrench 3 is all about realism. There's no way we can display weapons that are obviously toys. This was a last-minute wild idea I had, out at the gun club. I suggested we rent them from the club, and Stan loved the idea. I don't know exactly. I mean, I don't live here. I just hopped in a cab and said gun club. You're detectives, right? How about checking a phone book? Again, realism and promotion. All of us here would role-play a combat situation, right in the booth, you know, every few minutes? Which is why I'm dressed for action, and sadly, Stan is too.
I don't understand. What's the point of play-acting shoot 'em up?
To bring the game to life, to make the buyers feel like they were inside the game, to stimulate them to see our game over every other one here. Listen, a trade show is a kind of carnival, and this was effective. And yes, it was my idea. And hey, I'd have gone farther with it if I could. I wanted to fire off blanks, but the fire marshal nixed it. Too unsafe.
So you had no form of live ammunition in your play-acting?
Nothing. Yeah, he was. Not for real, of course. But his role was to take the hit, yes, and I was the shooter. We rehearsed it a couple times right before I left last night. I just point the empty gun at him, timing it to the demo, and mime to the game's sound effects.
Someone could have shot our Vic to place the gun back in the display. Hello. Maya Wynn had her hands on the M4 assault rifle. Hello. Maya Wynn had her hands on the M4 assault rifle.
Perhaps you have some ID?
We're with the Las Vegas Crime Lab. We have a few questions.
Yes, I'm Andy Penmore. Is this about Stan? He never came home last night, but then this is Las Vegas.
I'm afraid Mr. Everston is dead.
Is this some kind of weird joke? Craig behind this maybe? Or Maya? More of her off-the-wall publicity? I've been up all night slaving over some final tweaks Stan wants, and I'm in no mood for practical jokes.
No joke. He's dead. Murdered. In your demo booth.
No.
He was shot 3 times, Mr. Penmore. That's why we're here.
Oh my god. This is real. Really? Stan's my friend. He can't... We were just together last night, so... My god.
This is no game. This is real, Mr. Penmore.
Just last night, in the demo room, putting finishing touches on the presentation, looking for bugs, discussing these final tweaks. God, I can't believe this. I headed back to my hotel room at around 1 in the morning. Stan wanted me to get on those fixes, and he stayed at the booth, preparing for the media demo today. No, nobody I saw, anyway. Sure, this is a disaster, personally and professionally. I'll help in any way I can. Anything you need. I've divulged everything I can think of.
Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough. Vic had a cell number, but we didn't recover a phone from the body. Did the killer lift it for some reason? Hey, a scorpion. Maybe we ought to call Gris in. Oh, I keep forgetting you're new. Grissom gets excited about bugs. Only, I don't know if you'd call this a bug exactly. Hey, that's Fuzzy and Bill from that t-shirt we found. Looks like they've also been killed. Their video game got the axe. Looks like a number of hardcore fans were pretty teed off. Email's corrupted. A virus, maybe? Well, Miss Wynn painted a picture of a hype machine rolling happily along, but it looks like Stan the Man was not so happy with her marketing campaign. That's pretty interesting.
Sure, of course. At a big show like this, he'd be dead without it. Oh, sorry. Poor choice of words. Let me think. Yeah, he had it, because he text messaged me right after I got back to the room. Asked me to order a Cobb salad from room service and have it waiting for him. Thing's still sitting here, wilting. Just that I saw Maya wad it up and throw it at Stan yesterday, right after we checked in. She was pissed. Actually, the surprise would have been for her not to be. You see, she and Stan, they've been at each other's throats for 3 weeks. It's been getting nastier and nastier as we got closer and closer to this show. They did not see eye to eye on the market strategy at all. Stan's. Well, looks kinda bad, sort of sick at the moment, but I let this friend of ours do that as a practical joke. Thing was dead, couldn't hurt him, and Craig said Stan would get a kick out of it. Those two were always doing that kind of thing to each other, so I just went along. Hell no, it was dead. Couldn't hurt him, or me for that matter. He's a game designer who was one of the founders of the company with Stan, even before I arrived. He left about a year ago. His sense of humor is kinda out there, call it an acquired taste. For example, just before he left the company, when he was working on Gut Wrench 3, he put in a cheat code that lets you kill the boss. Of course, killing bosses is common in shooting games. At the end of a level, it's usually big bad guys or grotesque monsters or whatever. Not yuppie businessmen who look exactly like Stan Everston. You had to be there. Anyway, this was about the time Stan fired him. Gee, I have no idea. He drove here on his own just to attend the trade show and hang out with us. I couldn't give you his license under hypnosis, man. It's some SUV, American make, I think. Ask Maya, why don't you? Craig was hitting on her pretty hard yesterday, and they were getting friendly. Saw him exchange phone numbers. Yeah, it is.
May we collect it as evidence?
Well, I know I said I'd do anything to help out, but there is a line. I have a lot of stuff coming through here, like time-critical bug reports on the game. I'm sorry, I can't give it up, especially since it has nothing to do with Stan's death.
No problem. Here you go. Line of Fire Gun Club, 3727 North Ralston Avenue. Yeah, I had the phone company track it to a general area using the GPS. It just arrived. She's on her way to interrogation now.
Look, when you get hired for a job, it's because you got the right credentials, right? I've got a master's in marketing, but Stan thinks he knows how to do my job better because he's a guy. These last 2 weeks, man, they've been brutal.
What do you mean?
The company's come under a lot of critical fire lately, over the same old blah blah, excessive violence, lack of morality. I tried to tell him that negative publicity was a good thing, but he told me I just didn't get it. I'm a woman in a man's world, you know? If a girl doesn't play hardball, she gets rolled over. I worked too hard to have some chauvinist like Stan keep me from reaching my goals. I mean, I'm sorry he's dead. He was talented. This wasn't anything you'd kill anybody over. A professional disagreement that got a little ugly is all. Hardly at all. I just met him yesterday evening at that gun club. Apparently, he helped LZP get off the ground, and of course, I knew about his game getting killed.
Andy says you were acting very friendly. Mind telling us what that was about?
What happened to what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas?
You're still in Vegas. What happened?
Look, let's keep this confidential, because I got a life back home. Have you ever met somebody at a party or something and clicked and wound up in the backseat of a car? I found Craig a little bit cute last night, and I was half drunk.
When did you leave his car?
I left Craig around 1:30 or so, in the AM. Garage underneath the Sphere Convention Center. Only Craig isn't staying at the Sphere. Isn't staying anywhere, really. He's between gigs and on a tight budget. A new GMC Envoy. I even know his license plate because it was personalized after the characters in his game, Fuzzy and Bill. FZYBIL, I think. Craig started Fuzzy and Bill as an online comic, right? And then spun off into an indie comic book, popular but a cult thing. So when the game was announced, it was like, I don't know, the second coming or something to those comic nerds. So of course they went postal when the game was scrapped.
How postal did they go?
They're hardcore fans of the comic, and a vocal minority that stirs up all kinds of online trouble. But they're still a minority, all talk and no sell-through. A few thousand crying fans is nothing when hit games sell millions of copies. I mean, have you heard of Fuzzy and Bill?
What I don't get is how this Fuzzy and Bill game is tied to launching Gut Wrench 3.
LZP is a successful company, for sure, but a small one. We only have so much personnel, and for that matter, cash flow. And anyway, my marketing research showed that another Fuzzy and Bill would never generate enough sales to break even, let alone show a profit. But Gut Wrench 3, on the other hand, builds on two enormously successful games and is what the mass public wants commercially. We'll achieve total market penetration with Gut Wrench 3. It's a no-brainer.
Sure, I'll send a team right out. These marks are insect bites, or more precisely stings. The tox screen isn't back, but these could be the work of a wasp. He was lucky to avoid infection, if indeed any murder victim can be called lucky. With fresh clotting like this, the man got stung within the last 48 hours. This is recent bruising within an hour or two of death, revealing a clear knuckled outline of a strange pattern. A ring, perhaps. I would put it between 1 and 2:30 a.m. Normally a body cools at 1 to 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit per hour, but the officer at the scene reported the air conditioning was off all night, which throws off the standard computations. With 3 shots to the body, blood loss collected from the floor is consistent. Your victim was very likely shot at that site. Glancing at the body, I figured the shots to the chest were probably fatal. One penetrated the right lung and bounced around, filling the lungs with blood, suffocating the victim. Only that wasn't the case here. Not much blood in the lungs. The shot to the head was fatal. Once it entered, the brain shut down and immediately stopped all bodily functions. Note the scattered nature of the gunpowder specks surrounding the entry wound. Some burned, some not, indicating the shot to the forehead was fired 12 to 16 inches away. Here are the rounds from the chest cavity. They're 22 LR cartridges based on the 2.5 gram average weight.
Someone could have shot our Vic that placed the gun back in the display.
These marks are insect bites, or more precisely stings. The tox screen isn't back, but these could be the work of a wasp. These marks are insect bites, or more precisely stings. The tox screen isn't back, but these could be the work of a wasp. This is recent bruising within an hour or 2 of death, revealing a clear knuckled outline of a strange pattern. A ring, perhaps. Glancing at the body, I figured the shots to the chest were probably fatal. One penetrated the right lung and bounced around, filling the lungs with blood, suffocating the victim. Only that wasn't the case here. Not much blood in the lungs. The shot to the head was fatal. Once it entered, the brain shut down and immediately stopped all bodily functions.
We've done all we can do with that item. Looks like our Vic was busy making friends right up to the end. With a text message this close to the time of death, this could have provoked an attack. Or the messages could have been sent after the murder. Maybe somebody used Everston's cell phone to send messages, showing off the time of death.
Hey, how's the video game case going?
It's not game over yet. We've got some suspects, including a high-strung marketer, an aloof programmer, and a mysterious designer.
Any good physical evidence yet?
Nothing substantial, but it's still early in the case. We just ran his phone messages. It looks like he sent this message just before he died.
Maybe. Didn't Doc Robbins report the time of death was estimated? And you didn't actually find his phone at the scene.
If Stan sent the last message just before he died, where's his phone? Maybe someone else sent that message after the murder and then tossed the phone.
You know what Grissom would say.
Yeah. Follow the evidence. Maybe somebody used Everston's cell phone to send messages, showing off the time of death. We've done all we can do with that item. Let's see what Doc Robbins has to say about this. We've done all we can do with that item. We've done all we can do with that item. I would have encrypted this little number myself if I was standing up to a boss like that. I've printed this love letter out for you. We've done all we can do with that item. Okay, let's fire a bullet from the 45. This will give us a striation sample. The 45 appears unmodified. It has 3 bullets in its clip. I processed the GSR from the 45's hammer. There's an anomaly though. The 45 has 2 different variations of gunshot residue. One matches the 45, but the second is from some other bullet. I ran the serial number through Firearms Registration Database, and the computer tells us this isn't a gun club gun. It was owned and registered to our victim. Striations from the bullet in the wall match the bullet in the victim.
I am indeed Craig Landers, game designer, visionary, master of the universe. I'd invite you into my office, but it's a little cramped. What's up? Ooh, sounds serious. I'll see if I can whip up a few answers. Is it serious, guys? Must have been, yeah, last night sometime. Why, you looking for him? Try the LZP demo booth. Dude lives there.
Dude died there last night. Murdered, Mr. Landers.
What is this? What, some kind of joke or something? Hey, you're not kidding, are you? Hey, that's crazy. He was breathing the last time I saw him, which must have been around 10 p.m. after the party. We walked to my car, here. He was like my brother. I mean, LZP was our mutual thing, grew out of what we had, which was friendship, but like all brothers, we had our problems, you know, business stuff. But we went back to the birth of LZP. Anyway, he invited me to this launch party last night, so you can see we were tight, even now. Of course, with a demanding dude like that, control freak, he's bound to rub people the wrong way. You'll have a lot of suspects to sort out. Maybe I can help. Just happened to be between gigs, but with my rep, hey, I'll find something. One of the reasons I'm here at the show is to network and let people know I'm available. See, most designers would be at the show on somebody else's expense account, but right now, I'm on my own dime. Only I don't have many at that. Since opening day of the trade show? Guys, you're not gonna bust me for camping out, are you? I'm doing business. Give me a break. Have a heart. Don't make me move my wheels.
Parking garage security isn't the crime lab's deal, but I can see why you like the location. Pretty close to the convention center.
You're right about that. I'm not in Vegas for the gambling. A game expo like this is a prime opportunity for a designer like me to hook up with a new company. Easy for somebody with my record to talk to the top people and recruiters. Plus, I gotta stay current, see what the competition's up to and where the virtual world is heading.
Must be pretty tough, playing video games all day.
Must be tough eating donuts all day. No offense, but as often as you hear that, I get what you said. This is a tough, demanding business. Kill or be killed. I meant that figuratively. Maya, yes. Yeah, sure. Great girl. Woman. We connected. I've always had a kind of thing for Asian beauties, and she sure qualifies. And smart, and funny. Wow. We took off after the party and had a few drinks and wound up in my, my little four-wheel suite here.
Did you discuss her outburst with Stan?
Maybe I better go for full disclosure here. One of the things we bonded over was our mutual frustration with Stan, and what a tyrant he's been lately. It's a bummer to think about now. Oh, well, I wasn't exactly watching my watch, but I'd say, just before midnight, we were together in the, on the back seat there till 1:30-ish? Tried to do the gentlemanly thing and offer her a ride, but she said, oh, don't be silly, she could walk. It was just one of the outlying buildings attached to the Sphere complex. Where else? So right here in my office, which is also my bedroom. I played a few games on my handheld and finally drifted off to sleep. Yeah, there it is. I was handing them out at the show to, you know, hype up the characters. Where'd you find it?
We found this at the crime scene.
I have no idea. Maybe someone tore one I handed out? Game map of killing... Oh, come on, you can't be serious. That was a joke, an inside joke, which was the last thing I designed at LZP before we fell out and I left the company. Surprisingly, he wasn't thrilled. He had a sick sense of humor. We had that in common, a kind of dark, practical joker streak, so I thought he'd laugh. But all of a sudden, Stan reacted like he'd grown a stick up his butt. That was the last reason I needed to hasta la vista. It was just time. I'd been in on the ground floor of LZP and helped guide its direction for years, but Stan was moving us into increasingly more violent games, and I was thinking we were getting... I'm no prude or censor, but we were definitely skirting the edge of irresponsible, okay? Kids get access to these games, even the restricted ones, and I got into this field to give players entertainment, challenging entertainment sometimes just sheer fun. But blowing people away in increasingly realistic explosions of blood and brains and bone, well, let's just say it wasn't my dream. I'm staying perfectly straight with you guys. Yes, I put it there. It was one of the little guys I rounded up out in the desert.
Why'd you put it in his bed?
Haven't you heard anything I've said? We were practical jokers. Stan and me, even Andy. I know it sounds like bizarre video gamer bonding, but it's true. I've told you everything I know.
What can I do for you, officers?
Las Vegas Crime Lab. We have a few questions we need to ask.
Our claim to fame are the public firing lanes we offer, 50 feet long. Patrons can rent weapons from us or bring their own. We offer guns for purchase as well, and our members get lower prices, lower rates on our services. We're responsible operation officers. We're all about gun safety here, offer classes for the whole family. But we also offer a tactical training course to police and military personnel. I'm sure some of your colleagues have utilized our services. For example, our changeable walkthrough course with simulated real-world environments. The only group we had was from a video game company. A small group, just 4, but they charged it on a company card. Actually, yes. You see, people usually come out for one of 2 reasons. To have a good time, or to do some serious training. These 4, well, if I'd had known what kind of mood they were in, I don't know if I'd done business with them. They were at each other, really nasty insults, arguments, 2 in particular.
Which couple was, arguing?
A young Asian woman and an older guy. Handsome, I'd say. They were in a huge fight. I mean, over the top to where I thought they might come to violence, which is not good in this environment. I came out and told them to get their act together, or they'd be out on the sidewalk where they could fight without guns in their hands. We can check the sign-in sheet for sure, but best I remember, in the evening, around 8 till maybe 10. We are pro-police here at the gun club. You guys are the first line of defense, and we back you all the way. Private lane number 1 is still in the condition they left it, so hey, do your thing.
A useful list of who had brought what to the party.
Set of firearms? More like an arsenal. But understand, we don't rent out functioning firearms. Well, they function to a degree, but they're modified for non-lethal pellets, you know, for legal reasons.
What kind of non-lethal ammo does it fire?
Paint bullets, but not paintball exactly. These are the smaller variety pellets used in high-tech tactical training. These suckers pinpoint. And just because you can't get killed doesn't mean you want one of these paint pellets pelting you. They leave a whale of a welt. No. Not without substituting a real barrel onto the weapon, and even then a special adapter has to be installed. And, well, it would be more trouble than it's worth. And we don't rent the real barrels out, if that's what you're thinking. Seems to me one of them did, but I'm hazy on who, and what caliber the weapon was. I mean, I see so many guns in this place. But it'll be on the sign-in sheet. We're all over it when somebody brings their own gun into our space. Now that you mention, the one who seemed to be the boss, fella who paid for the session, Stan Everston, he bought a .45 auto and some ammo for it.
Wow, look at that grouping. That kind of shooting takes considerable practice.
Two very different angles of entry. Two straight on, relatively, in the chest, but the forehead shot indicates an upward angle. Since you found the bullet in the wall slightly above the victim's chest, this tells us our Vic had fallen before the fatal headshot was dispatched. Well, the tox screen is in. While there was no venom detectable in the bloodstream, a high number of antibodies were present, confirming the sting happened within 48 hours. Could be a yellow jacket, could be a scorpion. Well, most of them are non-lethal, to adults at least. Worst case, the sting could have caused anaphylactic shock, like a bee or wasp sting. A severe reaction can cause death, but not in this case.
It matches, but you're matching an unknown against an unknown, so we don't really know anything. Always try to match known samples. We've done all we can do with that item. We've done all we can do with that item.
Yeah. Legally purchased in California and registered to me. Why? Did I break some statute or something? It's just Stan and Andy suggested I bring it. Something about getting the team into the reality behind first-person shooting games. Stan knew I have a gun and know my way around firearms. He thought I could give the gang a few tips. Hey, I do want to help, but they say a man's home is his castle, and right now, these wheels are all the castle I've got. I know all about my rights, including you needing a search warrant first. That I'll do. I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything. Stan's death is a shock to me. Do your tests. Back in better days, Stan and I shared a kind of warped sense of humor. Maybe I was trying to get that back, or maybe I was just trying to get back at him. But it doesn't matter, because I didn't even shoot it. That was Maya.
We have a strong connection here. The bullet's a 22, he owns a 22, his shirt is at the scene, and Landers has a bit of history with our Vic. The search warrant will be for a handgun or handgun accessories.
Oh, crud. Wait. I demand to see a lawyer. I know my rights.
You watch too much TV, man. Stay nearby in case we have any questions. These 22 caliber bullets are the same brand as the ones found in the body. Ah yes, the mysterious 22. At last we meet.
Since the start of the company, I was the first guy he hired. He could be a tough guy to work for, but we were also friends. Anyway, it was his dough and his contacts in the biz that got the company off the ground. Of course, it was my contribution, my game code, that made the company a player. I write the programming code. Back in the early days, programmers like me were God. We designed the games, created the artwork, did all the programming. Only as the industry's grown, it's got more specialized. So my code is still what makes it all happen. I am Gut Wrench 3. I wasn't keeping track. Best guess, 1 a.m., a little after. Call it 5 after. Shouldn't be too hard. There's security cameras in the lobby. Can't you check those out?
That tells us what time you were in the lobby, but what else can you tell us?
Well, I remember I watched a pay-per-view movie last night. That's something the company doesn't pay for, by the way. Gotta cover all incidentals ourselves. Anyway, I've got the receipt right here.
Revenge of the Psycho Blood Mutants. Brass could check that out on the security cam footage.
Well, like I said, leave isn't exactly the word. The dude was canned, and he hasn't been able to land a job ever since, and it's been months. He's living out of his damn car, you know.
Craig didn't mention being fired. You sure he didn't leave on his own?
Dude, I was there. It was a raving blowout between those two. As for what was behind it, well, we were all working on Craig's little game, Fuzzy and Bill. We slaved on it for months and months, and it sold squat. It was total hard drive crash to Craig's ego when Stan pulled the plug on the promised sequel. Canceling the game was a shock, but Craig held on, thinking he could design Gut Wrench 3. All through development, those two were at each other's throats. And last night, they picked up right where they left off, screaming Match City. We were at the demo booth, getting it ready, and I took a break. Shouldn't have left those two alone, I guess. I could hear them yelling at each other, really tearing each other bloody gaping new ones. Oh, I'd forgotten about that. I do remember Stan bitching about his foot itching. He said he'd got a couple of wasp stings just before he flew out here. Not his weekend, huh? It's Stan's. He bought it for his .45. He used it last night at the gun club.
We've done all we can do with that item. Let's fire off a round. The weapon's unloaded, but the barrel's been tampered with. Somebody scraped the inside of it. Maybe they were trying to discourage ballistics matches. The gunpowder from Landers 22 matches the second type of powder found on the .45 automatic? The striations don't match, which is not a shock, considering the barrel's been tampered with. So I'm not ready to rule this out as the murder weapon. It would be nice to know whether this gun was futzed with before or after the crime. Our ousted game designer either knowingly or unknowingly provided the bullets that killed his former boss. The problem is, somehow all three of our suspects fired these rounds. The electron microscope confirms the gunpowder found on the forehead wound matches all three of our suspects' hands. This definitely muddies the water a little bit.
What's up?
We have a real mystery here. Let me lay it out for you. We have a .22 caliber bullet that we found in the body. Its GSR matches this box of 22 bullets. We also recovered a .22 handgun owned by one of the suspects and have found the same GSR traces on it.
Okay.
But ballistics don't match, so this weapon didn't actually fire the bullets into the Vic.
Sounds like you need to find a different .22.
Well, there's one more twist. The .45 handgun we found at the crime scene also has traces of the .22 bullet's GSR on its hammer. But, as you know, it can't fire a .22 round.
That's true. But didn't I overhear something about modified rifles from the gun range?
Yeah, but that's out. It only fired paint pellets.
Same concept, Nick. How do you fire a non-standard bullet from a weapon? Modify the weapon. I'd go back to the gun shop and see what else they know.
So the crime lab's back. I was just thinking about you because our new gun club magazine came in, and it's got an article about something you were asking about, modifying guns. Take one. They're complimentary. We don't stock them, but they're easy enough to special order. Those kits are fairly popular because they let you train with less expensive rounds. 22s are way cheaper than 45s, and more common too. Heck, around here, you can buy 22 cartridges at convenience stores. No, the only thing they bought was bullets. You don't have to be a gunsmith. Anybody who knows his or her way around a gun could do it in a couple of minutes. Don't even need special tools. Would you like to order one?
No, thanks. We have our own sources.
No problem. I'll pick one out of the wall for you.
Hey, I didn't have to go far to get that gun adapter after all. Local police reserves had one. Take this and do your test.
Good job. Next stop, ballistics lab. The striations on the spent bullets are similar, but not exact, to those found in Everston's body. This is not surprising. Since our adapter clearly didn't shoot him, we need to find the actual adapter to confirm it. I'm starting to wonder how anti-violence Craig Landers really is. We've done all we can do with that item. Let's run this evidence by brass. We've done all we can do with that item.
The security chief at the Sphere says their videotape puts Andy Penmore returning at 1:08 a.m. and staying put. Maya didn't get in until 2:15, giving her a half hour to do who knows what. With the hotel connected to the convention center, she has opportunity, all right. I'll get my boys to start searching for it immediately. Check back later.
Where didn't I argue with Stan? We fought like brothers, I told you that. Why? Did that creep Andy say... Look, it's no big deal. I don't know what Penmore's problem is anyway. Hell, I'm the one on the outside. He's the one with part ownership of LZP now. He was the new brother. Replaced me in Stan's heart and company. Technically, I was fired. But let's just say I already had my desk cleared out. Why does that matter?
What was the reason you were fired?
The real reason or the stated one? Because you see, officially, I wasn't a good fit with the new vision of the company, but really, it was our disagreement about the future of LZP, and my desire to have a little goddamn responsibility about who we were selling our products to. The pisser is, and I get so steamed just thinking about it. I trusted him when we set things up, so he wound up owning my intellectual property, and I'm left at square one. I created the original Fuzzy and Bill online comic years ago, way before LZP. Then I sold Stan the full commercial rights for $1, on the understanding that he would make it into a game with me in for a big share as an employee of LZP. We published, the game didn't sell big, but it had a following. Stan decided to bury Fuzzy and Bill, not just the video game, all other merchandising too, just to put me in my place. There the property sits, still at LZP, and here I sit, out of work and no way to make a nickel on my own creation. What? Oh, that. It'll sound lame, but I was out in the desert catching scorpions the other day. Little critters scurry around the rocks, you know, and these are my, red badges of stupidity.
You telling me you actually got into a fist fight would sound less lame. You could save us a step by letting us take an impression of your ring. We can get a warrant. Easy, but...
I got nothing to hide. Actually, I got nothing, period.
The bruising patterns match up to these markings. Also, the bruise had a very large white blood cell count, which only happens when the person hit is alive.
That means this ring struck Stan Everston before he died.
I've divulged everything I can think of.
She's on her way to interrogation now.
I'm a professional, but I'm human, okay? He was unprofessional and would not let the hell up, so I snapped back. That's one of those bad things about text messaging, you know? You wind up writing things you'd never say. I didn't threaten his ass. He was pushing too hard, and I told him to back off. That's no threat.
So when you say, keep pushing and I will push back, you meant that in the nicest way.
All I meant was, clean up your act, or I'm out of here. Listen, these video game guys, they're kids. Eternal kids. Well, I'm not a kid, but I do have a kid, a 10-year-old, who I like to see now and then on the rare occasion. And as a single mom facing week after week of extended periods of crunch time, well, enough's enough. It's just not worth it. How about a boss who demands everything and doesn't appreciate anything? A micromanager who changes his mind with the wind and saves up the biggest changes for the last minute. The smallest concern, the biggest ordeal imaginable. How's that for a complaint?
Anything else?
Well, Stan would go on and on and on about needing to get real, to bring the gritty reality of combat into not just the game, but my campaign, while dealing with a media backlash as well.
So how can you reason with a guy like that? You tried at the gun club and it was like shooting blanks. So you decided to shoot him with something else.
And here's where I break down, right? Under your expert interrogation? Sorry. I hated the jerk. He was driving me insane, but I didn't kill him. Argue is a little strong. We raised our voices, but hell, it's loud in a firing range. I guess maybe I started to kid him, you know, and it got out of hand. Just childish crap. Like this insulting text message he sent me the other night. Really pissed me off. Oh hell, I don't remember. I mean, it's a dead issue, right? Sorry, that sounded bad. I just mean, the guy's gone. Let's cut him a break. We rented the weapons from the gun club. I have no idea if they were modified or not. I didn't purchase any ammo. They were for show only. Stan couldn't see renting a .45 automatic when he just bought one. Sure, it was real. Hadn't been modified for safety, but hey, it was unloaded. And it's not like somebody would be walking around the trade show with a pocket full of bullets. Yesterday that sounded more reasonable, I admit. Well, he said he bought it for the company. It's the first weapon the art and sound staff used as reference. And he thought he could program the game more realistically if he was familiar with the weapon. With its physics, as Andy put it. As I said, we are all about realism. The game has to be convincing.
We have security video showing you getting back to your room half an hour after you left Craig's. Your hotel room is less than 5 minutes away. What, you stopped to gamble?
No, I'd already gambled enough going for a one-night back seat stand. In fact, I sat at the curb and just held my head in my hands and thought about my life and my kid, and I said I was human. A tired human who let go for once. Fresh air felt good. So what if I did? Craig plastered that pick on the target. I took aim and showed them my stuff. Gotta give Stan credit. He laughed. For a while. Maybe you guys ought to join the gun club. Me, I was raised around firearms. My dad was ex-military and his big hobby was hunting. Plus, I didn't have any brothers, and kind of went the tomboy route to please Daddy, who trained me in guns from grade school. But I never could bring myself to shoot animals, so I was strictly a target range girl, and I have the medals to prove it. I used my experience to help Andy with his in-game physics simulations. Not that he showed any gratitude. After all, I'm only marketing. He's the coder. No, I know Craig wanted his job back. Maybe my looks and charm weren't the only thing Craig saw in me. Maybe he also wanted to know about the state of office politics. Anyway, in his car, we were griping about Stan, and Craig told me he tried to talk to Stan back at the convention center, but that it hadn't turned out so hot. That's all I have to say.
Who told you that? Maya? Typical. Trying to make me look bad, take the heat off her after she was screaming at Stan, which is why she was having problems with him. You had to know how to handle that guy, and attacking and counterattacking was bad strategy.
If you don't mind, let's just get back to the question. Did you ask Stan Everston to buy you a gun?
Of course I did. How else could I program a game this realistic without understanding the actual physics of the key weapon? Also, our art staff needed it for reference. Is any of that hard to grasp? Look, I never shot anything more real than a Super Soaker. Not that Stan took much convincing. He'd been wanting to buy a gun for himself for some time. He had a genuine paranoid streak. Only now that he's a murder victim, he doesn't seem quite so paranoid, I guess.
She's on her way to interrogation now.
They had a lot of history before I got there, you know? Like, they had tensions sometimes, but there was also a bond. Almost like they could read each other's minds or something. By the end of the project, they were mostly staying out of each other's way. And, you know, maybe I'm out of line for saying this, but I don't know why Stan trusted the guy. Word around the office was, Andy's an old school hacker.
What kind of old school hacker?
The kind who likes to break into stuff. Recently, I let him install a version of Gut Wrench 3 on my computer. Only since then, my machine's been working really, really slow. Andy says he did nothing, but I think he accessed my files.
Actually, no, but I should be soon. Stan promised me a piece of the corporate pie because of my stellar work on Gut Wrench 3. It's not supposed to happen till the game's complete and on the shelves. And that'll be delayed because of this tragedy. But we didn't have anything in writing, but there were witnesses to our oral contract. But I'm not the only one who was promised a payday. Let me give you a different file, one that I think you'll be more interested in. It's on my PDA.
Let's run this evidence by Brass. We've done all we can do with that item. Press coverage of Gut Wrench 3 is tied to Maya Wynn's payday. The bigger the media splash, the bigger her bonus. However, note that it was encrypted. Andy didn't just get this forwarded, he hacked it.
She's on her way to interrogation now.
That's all I have to say.
I've told you everything I know.
You don't quite have a match there. Little details make all the difference when you're doing a comparison. When you're sure, ask me for confirmation. You, you, you don't quite have... We've done all we can do with that item. Let's run this evidence by Brass.
I've divulged everything I can think of.
She's on her way to interrogation now.
That's all I have to say.
I've got nothing new to report on the Vic.
I've told you everything I know.
We've done all we can do with that item. Looks like our Vic was busy making friends right up to the end. We've done all we can do with that item. Craig had his hands on the weapons case. Another potential link to the crime scene.
Sure. Let's bring in the guy whose ring matches our Vic's chest.
Well, you tell me, detective. I let all of them, Maya, Andy, even Stan, fire my gun that night. Any of them could have screwed with it. Hey, you don't think one of them's trying to frame me for this thing, do you?
Well, I think we can safely rule Stan Everston out, but I can see why you'd be pissed at Stan the man. Cancels your pet project, fires you, and keeps ownership of a company you built as much as he did.
Every game company has conflicts between the creative and business side, okay? Producers like Stan don't look at a monitor and see the energy and the brilliance that go into a great game. All they see is a damn spreadsheet. He didn't hold a gun to my head and make me sell my intellectual property to him. That was my stupid fault. Well, during the party, Andy told Stan that there were new bugs with the game, and Stan, being the predictable control freak he was, had to go there and hunt down the bugs personally. He would have stayed there all night if he needed to. Not begging. Look, it was all business for Stan, and I was talent, and damn good talent. I figured he'd be able to look past our differences and see how I could positively impact his bottom line. And, hey, I admit, I thought that maybe after Gut Wrench 3 came out, we could revive Fuzzy and Bill again.
How did that go over with Stan?
Not so good. I pushed too hard, and we both said things that old friends should never have said. He said LZP had outgrown me, and I accused him of bad-mouthing me in the industry to where I couldn't even get a low-end job. I admit it. It got a little ugly. I accused him of exploiting every worst instinct in the gaming market, selling violence and sex, made all the worse by killing the very game that could have provided a fun alternative. And if he wasn't going to do Fuzzy and Bill, couldn't he at least sign it back over to me? He just laughed.
So that's when you threatened Stan? Hoping to scare him into giving you Fuzzy and Bill back? He didn't back down even when you punched him. He took it, and then ripped your shirt as you fled. But you went back for your gun instead. With Stan gone, LZP would turn to you. You'd put the company back on track.
You got it half right anyway. I took a swing at that prick. And I'm guilty of getting my butt kicked by the guy after. I just picked up what little was left of my dignity and I went back to my car. That's everything I know.
She's on her way to interrogation now.
From day one. It was part of the job offer that convinced me to sign up with LZP. I had offers from 2 other companies, both bigger, you know, but this was a real opportunity to make my mark. And a box of money.
Why would a marketing person rate bigger money than the creative side?
Marketing is king in the entertainment world, and the game industry is an increasingly bigger part of that world, with marketing campaigns that run to the millions. More sometimes than goes into the game themselves. A great game that sits on a shelf is a flop. A weak game that flies off the shelves is a win.
And we're looking at a crime scene that seems designed by a marketing whiz, aimed at generating a lot of press. Vic posed like the body on the game's poster. It's genius, really.
And here you are with a sweetheart contract tying national press to your bonus. Nicely done, Ms. Wynn.
With your expertise as a competition shooter, you know all about weapon adapters. Then you heard about Craig and Stan getting into it, so you seized the moment, killing your paintable boss, posing him for the inevitable press coverage. placing the assault rifle just right, though leaving a nasty little print behind. Then back to your hotel room.
You're right. The killer did me a favor. And I'll probably make money because of the way that crime scene was staged. But I didn't stage it, and I didn't kill Stan. But maybe I can help you. Why don't you take a look at a file I downloaded for you about Andy Penmore? It's on my flash drive. You might get somewhere with it.
Let's run this evidence by Brass.
Catherine gave me the heads up on this development. Our convention center security pals used a metal detector around where that cell phone was recovered. Here's your adapter. Oh, you're gonna love this. Turns out both of these items were within 30 feet of Lander's car.
The evidence suggests that Andy Penmore had possession of Stan Everston's cell phone, and now we have Andy's fingerprint on the gun adapter, tying him to the murder weapon. Good job. Next stop, ballistics lab. Yeah, that's our murder weapon. Back together again for this special encore performance.
Andy's prints are on the Vic cell phone and on the murder weapon adapter. Time to stop all the games and play for real. Let's arrest this guy.
As much? More. Try 8 days in a row. My eyes are burning right now from sitting at a monitor, making this game fly.
Was that what you bargained for?
Actually, yes. Everybody in the game industry knows that long hours is part of the deal. I'm in this field because I love it. I'm a lucky guy, making games for a living. What is this, some stupid attempt to entrap me?
It's no fake, Andy.
Well, then Stan Everston was a fake. If this is true, he was planning to renege on my piece of the action. Bastard lied to me. If I'd have known this, you really would have a right to look at me as a murder suspect. But I didn't know, and I didn't kill him. Though I'd like to strangle his ass right now.
Well played, Andy. But a gifted hacker like you? You've known about that email all along.
You're reaching, but you aren't touching anything. Read my lips. I never saw this stupid thing before. Anyway, when Stan was killed, my stake in the company hadn't kicked in yet. What would I have gained killing that liar?
You didn't have a stake yet, and you found out you never would. Not unless you removed Stan and brought in witnesses who heard his oral contract to you.
Andy, we found the cell phone, we know about the adapter, and your prints are on it. Then there's the little matter of you being the last one to see Stan Everston alive.
I wasn't the last one to see him alive. The killer was. You don't play this game at all well, guys, but good luck to you. Everybody's got to start somewhere. Am I free to go? How could I do that from my hotel room, which is where I was when he was killed?
Sure you were. There's no proof of that, by the way, just flimsy setups from you to make us think you were there.
If that's the best you can do, I can't wait to see you try to build a case on air like this in court.
You're right, we don't have the evidence we need, but we have a lot of testimony. Help us find the real killer, since you're innocent and all.
I see. You pretend to ask for my help when you really want me to try to incriminate myself, give you false testimony on facts so you can trip me up. If I don't, then I'm unwilling and you hold me longer. So, I'm game. I'll help you.
Okay, well then, who convinced Stan into inviting Craig, persona non grata, to the gun club party?
I did. I don't deny that.
Who also told Craig to bring his own .22? Who ensured Stan bought and brought his .45? Who researched how weapons work in the real world? Who told Stan there was a last-minute problem with the game, ensuring he would stay late at the demo center?
I did, but none of that means I killed him, of course.
Oh, I'm just getting started. Who knew that an adapter for both a .22 and a .45 would be needed for this coincidence? Who knew Maya not only had a PR bonus, but was also an expert shot? Who was ready with flimsy alibis when the others decided to hook up on an accidental meeting? Who set this whole thing up months in advance the minute you found that email telling you your payday was gone the way of floppy disks?
You can't prove that.
Let me walk you through what we can prove, thanks to your help. By ensuring both the 45 and the 22 would be at the club, you could grab a few of Craig's bullets. When you told Stan there were problems with the game, he gave you the 45 and the ammo to take back to the room while he went to the convention center. You walked through the lobby so the cameras could see you, entered the room, ordered your movie, modified the gun, and then snuck out. Once in the demo room, you cranked up the game audio and shot Stan twice in the chest and once in the head. Then, you staged the crime scene to potentially throw blame on Maya or maybe just some disgruntled fan. You also turned down the air conditioning to further confuse the time of death. You switched out the adapter, wiped the 45 clean, and returned it to the gun case. Then you grabbed Stan's cell and punched in your second alibi and bolted back to your room to order that alibi salad. You wiped off the phone and adapter, and the next morning, you ditched him near Craig's car. Easy to find, right? However, in your haste, you left partial prints on both items. Then it was off to the convention, from one con right into another.
You see, Andy, we're not trying to get you to incriminate yourself. You said that you'd help us. The truth is, we don't need anything from you. We know what you did, and we know how you did it. Combined with all the physical evidence we got on you, we have everything we need.
No, you'll never make this play in court.
This murder was all a game to you, wasn't it? But there was a glitch in your programming. It's your sick ego, and that's a bug you'll never get out of your system.
That was an interesting case. It's funny. Andy tried so hard to control every detail to cover up his involvement. And since you uncovered that every detail was controlled by him, that was the break we needed. Physical evidence is strong, but it's the context of that evidence to the events that makes it the strongest. Well done. Let's move on to your case evaluation.
You investigated every possible angle on this case. Doesn't happen often, but I'm very impressed.